Let's discuss a critical principle of success for creators while we use an iPad as a transparent background in Ecamm Live. Let's go. Hi, I'm Kevin Lyons. I'm the executive director. I'm sorry, not executive director. I'm a CEO and Chief Solutions Officer of Lyons Den Solutions. I also happen to be the executive director of a nonprofit, so I get that tripped up occasionally. But hey, this is a live video and you're probably watching a recording of it, but that's okay, right? Correct. So today we're going to discuss a critical principle that a lot of creators and startups struggle with. And that is, they get into this kind of cycle of, first off, time, right? Everything that you do requires time. And time is a different commodity for different people. Myself, I'm a husband, I'm a business owner, I have employees, I have clients, I have a beautiful wife, I have two amazing children. So my time is actually very different than maybe someone who is single, or maybe someone who's retired, or someone who is just starting out, or someone who has a huge organization that they run. Time is relative, but time is very expensive. And that's one of the things. I'm 49 years old, and that's one of the things I'm just now learning is how valuable time is, and how you don't get it back, and every day is a gift. So time is a critical component. Another piece of it that a lot of people, I think sometimes they struggle to see within themselves, and I struggled with this too. Thankfully, I have a great group of friends and great group of community around me and my wife that reminds me that I have talent. And it's not just America's Got Talent, but you have talent. You have special things and special qualities within you that have been birthed in you, and personally I believe that God has given you, that is valuable to people. And so a lot of times creators, sometimes they may put all the time in, but then they come back and they're like, well, do I have the talent? Which kind of also coincides with confidence. Do you have the confidence to do it? And sometimes you need some help with that. But then you overcome that. Then you say, hey, you know what? I have the time, I have the talent, but I need the tools, right? So tools, they can get expensive. I have to say though, we've spent a lot of investment into live streaming and really everything we do around business and for our clients and so forth. But I am so impressed, especially I'm involved in Vlogmas 2020, which is basically we are producing videos every day between now and the end of the year. And I see some guys out there and they're using iPhones and older laptops and old webcams, and they're just producing this killer content. So it kind of says you don't have to spend a lot of money on tools, but eventually you do need to get some tools. You probably need to get a camera, you need to get a computer, you need to invest in that website and so forth. But still, that's all kind of in the mix of this. Another big component though is ultimately you want to use your time plus your talent plus your tools to basically make some revenue. Because without revenue, you don't really have seed to put back into the cycle. Otherwise, you're a volunteer. And that's fine. Now, many of you are called not to be a volunteer, but you might be called to the ministry, or you might be called to doing something as a service-based thing. And at that point, you ultimately, at the end of the day, still have to pay your bills and still have to come up with something for revenue. So, as we move this over to the side, I think the missing component, though, to this is all of this detracts from something called life. Every time I do a live stream, or I do a video, or I kind of bring in something to Vlogmas, or I live stream for a client, or I produce some of my content, or I build a computer, or I watch YouTube and everything else, I'm basically taking this bucket of life, right? And I'm putting a little hole in it, and I'm dripping out of the bucket a little bit of time, or talent, or tools, or energy, or revenue, or resources. And sometimes if I get too many things going on, I have a lot of holes in this bucket that's all dripping out. And sometimes you don't have enough time and tools and talents and resources to fill the bucket to plug the holes, or the holes just keep getting bigger. But this is kind of life, right? I mean, it kind of goes over and over and over. So as you go through life, I think one of the missing components is if you do not have an established why. I'm not an artist, don't judge me. I'm not trying to pretend to be an artist. I'm just trying to convey to you, if you don't know your why, if you don't know your purpose, if you don't know what it is that you're supposed to be doing. With me, now I'm a man of faith. So first off, my first calling is to God. My life is not my own, it's His. My second calling is to my wife, my bride. My third calling there is to my children. And I know those principles, but at the same time, I have to fight for those principles as I go forward. I also know, though, that within that, God has given me gifts and talents, and He's given me the ability of leadership, the ability of software and technology and development and video and communication. And so it's what do I do with those so that this bucket becomes more normalized? And a lot of times it takes a little bit of patchwork on those holes and controlling a little bit of this intake here of all the things that you get busy doing as creators. So currently we're doing Vlogmas. I can tell you that right now, my family's downstairs and they support me in doing this because they know that this is a goal of mine to actually produce all these videos this month. But I also recognize the cost of doing it. But fortunately, it fits in with my why because I have support from them to do it. So I challenge you to kind of, especially if you're one of the creators going through Vlogmas, and let me just take this and kind of erase some of this here, and I'm going to talk about how I'm kind of doing this. It's not too elegant, but basically I'm just erasing all of this type that I did, and I'll share with you this in a little bit. So here's the thing that I kind of had to reconcile with, is as a lot of the creators and everyone's producing all these videos for Vlogmas, I have a feeling, and Limdrop and Doc and a lot of the people that are in the Ecamm community, I kind of get this feeling that we recognize that there is a cost on the other side. I heard comments from people creating videos during Vlogmas of, my wife's not too happy with me because I have all my camera equipment set up on the living room table or whatever. But that's the cost of the investment of doing it. And I just challenge you to make sure that you really evaluate yourself to understand that it's okay to spend that equity from life as long as there's a why attached to it. If the why that's attached to it is to do something that you felt called to do something that you feel that is going to be valuable for your family, to be valuable for yourself, to give you a platform because you have a message burning in your heart that you need to share. With me, outside of being, a Christian, being a husband, being a father, I have a deep calling on my life to help people in every shape or form. That's where Lyons Den Solutions came from, is we actually create solutions for people. We create solutions for clients, but we also create solutions for ministries. And our solutions are not attached to revenue. Our solutions are attached to trying to help people, because we've really found that if we sow enough seed into helping people, somehow things work out for us, and God's been good to us. So let's talk about Ecamm Live and how I'm doing this. So basically, I have my iPad Pro here, and I have a pencil. As you can see, I'm drawing on screen. And what I did is I hooked up my iPad to my iMac Pro using a lightning cable to USB. I have Pintalet up, which is basically, you can use iPad Notes or whatever else. And what I did is I created a green background. Well, in Ecamm Live, you can actually chroma key that out. So currently what you're seeing on screen is I have myself on top of, look, if I go to a normal screen, you see that my camera is actually my iPad Pro. So my iPad Pro is my background camera, but then I'm up as a camera overlay on top of the iPad Pro, and I chroma keyed out the green in Ecamm Live so that I can actually illustrate on the screen. And that sometimes just makes me happy. So anyways, hopefully that helps you. Pintalet, use your iPad as a overlay with green screen. And I also chose the, transparent picture-in-picture. So that way the iPad actually sits on top of the screen. Anyways, figure out your why. I really challenge you. It makes life so much better when you have that in place. And I just encourage you to continue producing the videos if you're part of Vlogmas. But hopefully this helped you. I know this is a little bit more of an esoteric conversation about the why, the missing component, and creators and startups. But you really have to figure out your why. There's a great book called Start with Why. And I think if you really focus on that, everything you do will be more fulfilled. And I truly believe that there will be work-life balance with your family, with your friends, with the other things that value, where you're, whether maybe you're working full-time and doing a side hustle. If you keep your why in check, all of those other things work out better. I hope this helps. And if you have any questions on using your iPad as an overlay, let me know, and I will chat with you later. Thank you.